are the top boss monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh right now. This tier list is extremely good if you're struggling on figuring out what deck that you want to play and maybe want to pick a boss monster that can end the game fast or can control the game throughout. I gotta say, big dog, the last time we did this tier list, it was interesting.
Why is it Guardian on here?
That is a good question. I have read through your comments on the last boss tier list, and I've actually decided to add some more chunky boys. But of course, if you think that I'm missing something, go ahead and comment down below. Let's get on into it. So, the criteria for these choky boys is as simple as the dawn is. What can I say? I like my women, I like my job, and how's Chimera doing? I am going to be ranking these cards on how impactful they are, but keep in mind, players will be playing cards to counter it, like a sexy kaiju. I've been seeing those a lot more. Right now, also, I think that your boss monster should do just more than one simple thing. The boss monster gets bonus points for how much it can interact on your opponent's turn, and or if it can do something to help you out in your strategy. And the last criteria is decently important. How easy is it to bring out your boss monster? My guy, I like my boss monsters like how I like my ex. Easy to get into. Except I don't want everybody to, I want everybody to play her. Don't play her. I got 5 different categories here, and I don't think that there's any need to explain them. Let's go ahead and jump on in. Let's go ahead and start off with ABC Dragon Buster, big dog. I actually made an entire video abusing the living daylights out of this deck. What I like about ABC Dragon Buster is that not only does it summon a monster that gives you a disruption on your opponent's turn, he can also recruit monsters to be able to link summon or summon other types of monsters on the next turn. On top of that, Dragon Buster can be immune to monster spells and traps depending on what union monster you equip to. I gotta give this card a solid choice. My only beef for ABC Dragon Buster is its ease of summon. Revolution Synchron does do a lot for the deck, but overall the deck still does have points where it's really hard to summon this card. Just make B-Buster Drake searchable, my friend, and that pretty much goes away. I think ABC is a solid combo Yu-Gi-Oh deck, but you'd actually be surprised on where I would put Accesscode Talker, a card that has been dominating the Yu-Gi-Oh card game since its inception. Bro, Accesscode Talker? More like Access a Girlfriend for some of y'all. Y'all been fiending for this card. One thing that I've noticed about Accesscode Talker is that it's seen a huge decline in play, and it's for multiple reasons. The first thing is that if you want to get the full effect of Accesscode Talker, you need to summon multiple link monsters, and that's something that not a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh decks in the game do. The second is that a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh decks can just summon huge monsters by themselves that can end the game quickly without the use of Accesscode Talker. By no means for Cyber's players, I think that this card is bad, but for right now, I would say needs backup. It doesn't even interact on your opponent's turn, and it can't go for game unless you put other monsters on the field or have damaged them previously. I ain't gonna lie though, Accesscode Talker do be breaking boards though, he do that. Altergeist Adminia is a crazy Yu-Gi-Oh card. This card allows you to send any card on your field to take control of your opponent's monsters and turn it to one of your own. My guy, it's almost like I riz your girl and turn her into a Yu-Gi-Oh player, cause you can't do it. Adminia also recruits Altergeist trap cards to your side of the field upon its summon. I think that this card is a top boss Yu-Gi-Oh card. Even if you do get rid of Adminia with a card like Dark Ruler No More or Kaiju, it still gets you a trap card, which is really helpful for Altergeist to be able to trigger cards like Multi-Faker and Skill Keep playing. And to be honest with you, if this card wasn't generic, I would be playing it in every deck. Interaction on both players' turns as well as giving you setup is way too strong, something that Appaloosa doesn't really do other than the interaction on both players' turns, potentially. Appaloosa has been known to stop hand traps, but namely mostly just Nibiru the Primal Being. That card does still exist in Yu-Gi-Oh today. I would say that this card 100% needs backup though, because it only negates monster effects and can't activate its same effect in the same chain. So many players have figured out ways to be able to get around this card and just attack over. Kashtira Arise-Heart is one of the most oppressive cards in the game. I think one of the hugest disparities you are going to see about boss monsters right now is that all of them can pretty much be outed with a kaiju, but the difference is some of them you are going to need to out them. It's going to put them where you better have it, where some of these cards are like, I can kind of play around it. Kashtira Arise-Heart is not one of those cards that you can play around. This card is a prime example of Konami just throwing effects together and see what works, and this one worked a little bit too well. All right, so on the board, we have Mastial Darklaw, Zodiac Trident, and the pot of inquisitiveness. Let's see if we hit all three. Got the card. Arise-Heart is a complete god, but one card that isn't is a rival Cyber Saphic, Mr. I would say not effective right now. A lot of these huge boss monsters that can't be beat are really nice, but with players starting to play kaijus again, they're gonna face some hard problems. Plus, it is not hard to get over 3,000 attack at all. Like, not even a problem. It's kind of crazy how Put on the Floor is kind of like ABC Dragon Buster, except way easier to summon. Card has also taken Apollousa's role at being able to stop hand traps in a lot of combo decks. It's a really good card. Blackluster Soldier. This card is easily the CEO of the couch, my guy. Blackluster Soldier plus Honest is game. There is nothing that you can tell me. You put a monster on the board and I have Blackluster Soldier in hand, but Honest, you have no way to stop it. You're losing. Still 100% respect the OGs, guy. Make no mistake, but we gotta say what it is right now. Whirlwind Dragon is a pretty effective card in the late stages of the game when resources are low, but I would say it needs backup because it can only stop monster effects. My guy, Triple Tactics talent go crazy right now. I would also say that Borreload Savage Dragon is a card that 100% needs backup, and it's because it does provide disruption, but it doesn't make the card leave the field. That comes up. My guy, if you're summoning just Borreload Savage Dragon, you're probably struggling. Borrel Sword Dragon, I mean, it's like a broke Accesscode Talker. Hey, there was a point in time where this card was amazing, but now he on the couch with Blackluster Soldier. And again, no disrespect to the cards on the couch, but we actually summon enough big monsters not to need to attack multiple times. That's the only difference is that Blackwing Full Armor Master can't make itself stronger naturally, so yeah, he even weaker. Can bring cards back to the field, provides disruption? Holy crap, yeah, yo! Only beef with this batter is that both players need to have banished cards in order to gain its best effects. Chaos Angel actually reminds me of Borlin. It's a really powerful card in later states of the game, but with cards like Book of Moon, yeah. Crimson Dragon is literally one of the most disgusting cards to exist in the game because it turns any Synchro monster into another Synchro monster. Theory Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon is a card that 100% needs backup, but with Revolution Synchron, I would dare to say that this card is a solid choice, and it's for a big reason. Because of Revolution Synchro Dragon, you can summon this card on your third summon. I'll let you do with that information if you will. If your deck can play Destiny Hero, Destroy Your Phoenix Enforcer, I gotta tell you, you probably should play it. This card is actually really, really good. The fact that he keeps destroying stuff and coming right back is incredibly annoying. I think the only problem is the ease of summon because Verte is banned. For good reason. Divine Arsenal AA Zeus, my boy. This boss monster does not play well with others, but I will tell you, when you summon Zeus with multiple materials, and the best thing about it is that the later games get, the stronger Zeus is. Again, all of the top boss monsters and solid choice monsters put you on you better have it. I would say that Draco Berserker Tingy will be more considered of a cleanup guy, and the reason why I put him in not effective is because yes, he can clear the monster effect, but a lot of times you want to stop the monster effect. His attacking twice is pretty good. Problem is he's only 3,000 attack, and that should not be a problem, but it is. Infernable Emperor Charles. First of all, I want to say that his effects are not once per turn. Stupid. Second of all, I want to say he is the strongest Link 1 monster to ever exist and probably will ever exist. This man has mad negations, and normally you summon 2. I'm going to say he's a top boss. He's a reason to play Infernables. Magnificent for an Exosister player is pretty easy to summon, and normally on the way to summoning it, you get some really good cards. The problem is Exosisters, they're night and day sometimes. Sometimes they want to hang out with Big Brother, other times they want to go to church. Come on now. We going to hell anyway, stepsister. Why are we doing this? Purrely New War by itself doesn't really say a lot, and then you start equipping it with your Purrely cards, and it becomes one of the best boss monsters in the entire game. Even if they wind up kaijuing you, the thought that you could potentially draw 6 cards before they do so is crazy. I would 100% say that Floowandereeze is a lot more crazier when Link monsters are prevalent in the game, but right now, I would say that it's a solid needs backup. And keep in mind, needs backup is not a bad category. Look at all the guys it shares it with. You just need something to be able to answer, I don't know, summon most of these guys in defense and keep playing. Not a bad thing, especially how easy it is to summon Impin in the Floowandereeze deck. Gate Guardian, Kosijin, Suijin, and Saga combine. CEO of the couch is all mine. We had high hopes for this deck. I still do. Guardian and Chimera has two really big problems. The first is that you can't be under Droll and Lockbird, and it's also an ashable card. The second is that there needs to be cards for it to destroy. But resolving this card, holy God. Guardian Chimera also has immunities when polymerization's in the graveyard, and because of the Chimera archetype, I did a video on that too because it's crazy. This card is really ridiculous. Lady Labyrinth fits two requirements right now. She can get you cards that help your deck, and she's pretty immune to a lot of things. The problem is by herself, she doesn't provide any interruption, but the deck kind of does that on itself. I would say 100% she does need backup. And the reason why it's not a bad thing whatsoever is she had more things doing for her, she'd probably be banned. But players being able to interact with her, preventing you from setting trap cards, her having to summon herself in defense through her own effect, and her not inherently bringing anything to the table to disrupt your opponent does mean you do need backup. I don't think anybody has noticed that Evilswarm Lars is a generic Yu-Gi-Oh card and can negate any card on the field, not just the card that activated its effect. I personally like that about Lars, as it does have some sneaky interactions with helping you break boards as well as making a board. But 100%, you already know this big dog needs backup too. He ain't gonna do it by himself, I'll tell you that, but he can do some things with some help. Sinister Sovereign Long Yuan is actually kind of crazy. It can banish monsters upon summon, preventing some of them from activating their effects, and it can get rid of field spells, something that is really huge right now. I think that Sinister Sovereign Long Yuan pretty much carries Sword Soul right now. The Makanko boss monster by itself, pretty bad. But fortunately enough, Makanko isn't necessarily built like a standard Yu-Gi-Oh deck. It has to almost go by its own rules. It can 100% be effective in the right situation, and by that right situation, I mean kaijus and lava golems, and you play a lot. Mirrorjade is such a weird Yu-Gi-Oh card. We know that the deck is good, but the card? This is a really hot take. I know branded players are screaming at the phone right now. The reason why I think Mirrorjade isn't as effective right now is because A, it only hits monsters, and B, its second effect to destroy all monsters in the field, well, it doesn't really matter if you win the game fast enough, and a lot of decks put up a lot of monsters to just win the game fast enough. Psychic End Punisher almost fits all of the abilities of being a great card until it isn't. The biggest problem with Psychic End Punisher is that its effect to be able to get rid of cards isn't a quick effect. And with that being said, Psychic End Punisher is kind of like Accesscode Talker. It's really good at being able to end games, but that's pretty much it. Red Eyes Dark Dragoon is a card that everybody thought would dominate Yu-Gi-Oh! Personally, unaffected, still can negate destroy cards, get stronger over that 3,000 threshold, but I think the biggest problem with Red Eyes Dark Dragoon is that it is ridiculously hard to summon if you're not playing Branded. And even Branded has to play Dark Magician inside of his deck just to be able to facilitate that. They got other cards that they really want to play. I'm going to say not effective right now. Let's be real, guys. You guys' boss monster has been the gimmick puppet monster. That's facts. If you don't believe me, ask the comments. What has been the most terrifying thing that Branded does? Rescue Ace Turbulence trades a quick effect to get rid of your opponent's monster for a trigger effect, but in place allows you to set up so crazily you might just win the game off of setting 4 cards. Turbulence is ridiculous, my guy. It's that card. And now because of Emergency and Preventer, Turbulence really can shine. It's a very powerful card that players must respect that gets over that 3,000 threshold with the field spell. I would say that leading off with Tryhard is incredibly not effective, but one thing I will say about this card is that against certain decks and in later games, it's really, really good and allows you to be able to switch your opponent's monsters to defense and ruin them. Ultimate Conductor Tyranno is starting to seem like Blackluster Soldier, except a little bit stronger. I would say not effective right now, and that's because Misk is at 1. Probably go to that backup Misk need backup combo duo, but it's effective enough to break almost any board in the game. Nightmare Griffin right now is solely used to be able to stop your opponent from hand trapping you until you make Baron de Floor. Holy crap, how the mighty have fallen. I really want to put this card in CEO of the Couch, but I would just say not effective right now. It's crazy how Yu-Gi-Oh has changed so much since Nightmare Griffin came out. Remember when this card was bannable? Pepperidge Farm remembers. And lastly is Goth Money, Underworld Goddess of the Closed Forest. By herself, this card is literally CEO of the Couch. I will say though, if your deck can summon enough monsters, Underworld Goddess can break any of these monsters easily. That's one good thing about her, but as a standalone boss monster, he ain't it. And that's all that I have for the boss monsters tier list, big dog. Really hope you enjoyed this video. Of course, big dog, if you have some disagreements with me, let me know down below in the comment section what do you agree with, what you don't agree with. But also, be sure to check out some of these other videos. I can't wait to see you on them, as I'll catch you on the next one.